Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to welcome the man, the myth, the legend from Orange County here. We welcome Senator Morlock. Senator, we welcome you to the dais. He's going to be presenting Senate Bill 1395, and then he is also going to be, why don't you start us off with Senate Bill 1049? Is that okay? So we'll just go by file order. Senate Bill 1049, item number 5, and then Senate Bill 1395, item number 13. Senator Morlock, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for listening to me.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Good to have one person at least listening.
I apologize, but running out is we have a large bill with Senator Dodd and insurance today, so I apologize.
I've got insurance and I've got health, so I'm having no fun.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Did not mean to be rude.
So thank you for letting me at least have a little fun with you, because you're just an outstanding chair, and I appreciate it.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
So Senate Bill 1049 seeks to address what I believe was bad form by Sacramento. It seeks to right a wrong. We certainly appreciate when we see things that we're just not happy about, and maybe we come back and say, hey, we want to, voice our opinion. That certainly was the case last year. This Capitol did not react well to the election of Donald Trump, and we certainly reacted with a lot of bills and a lot of other interesting ways to address perceived wrongs. SB 922, Steinberg, was, I think, an overstep. It can easily be characterized as maybe being heavy-handed. But I know Darrell Steinberg, and I consider him a friend, so I'll assume it must have occurred during a stressful period of time. However, ceasing funding to a charter city whose majority decided to ban project labor agreements, that just seems inappropriate. It sounds like something we would assume that maybe President Trump would do if he really started acting out like we think he would, or some of us do. But Sacramento shouldn't have done that. SB 922 went too far and should be repealed. SB 829, which is also in your briefing, was also inappropriate. In Orange County, we approved PLAs, and it upset our construction community, so we then reversed it years later, and by unanimous vote of the Orange County Board of Supervisors. The board realized that PLAs were no bargain. Open and fair competition for construction contracts was preferred. For the record, PLAs cost 13 to 15% more. They remove the freedom an elected board has to invite all qualified comers, and this affirms local control. Hopefully, charter cities will have projects for affordable housing, school-related construction, and road maintenance. We need to let managers manage and provide the procurement tools they deserve. Colleagues, SB 1049 is an attempt to remove the kind of the boot that Sacramento has unwisely put on the necks of local leaders, and I respectfully request and I vote, and I have witnesses.
Thank you so much, Senator Morlock. We're going to welcome witnesses in support. You have an opportunity, sir, to be able to speak for 2 minutes. We welcome you. If you don't mind, just give us your first and last organization, and thank you for taking the time. And if you don't mind, if we can have the sergeants just move the one easel over to the right, just so we're not blocking the public microphone. Sir, I apologize. The floor is yours.
Oh, no problem. Senator Kevin Dayton with Labor Issues Solutions, LLC. I'm a policy and political consultant based in Monterey, California. This bill is about principles. It's about federalism, subsidiarity, separation of powers, and checks and balances. This whole controversy began, and in Sonoma County, you know about project labor agreements because there were efforts by the Board of Supervisors to impose them. In Southern California, it went the opposite direction, and the bans on project labor agreements on the local level, the big bulk of them occurred. It was triggered in 2009 when a proposed hotel and convention center in Chula Vista was being blocked by aggressive objections to the environmental review, and this was a tactic being used to pressure into a project labor agreement. And Chula Vista and a lot of the business community there responded by putting a project labor agreement ban on the ballot, and the voters approved it handily. And then it started momentum with not only groups like the Orange County Board of Supervisors voting to ban it, but there were also plebiscites. In addition to the Chula Vista ban from voters, there was also the County of San Diego, the City of San Diego, and the City of Oceanside. And then there were some efforts that began in Northern California, City and County of Sacramento. At that point, obviously, the Construction Trades Council had enough, and they passed Senate Bill 922, and then the following year, Senate Bill 829. And this basically nullified what local governments had been doing and the people who lived in these local communities. It was inappropriate to do so. It was wrong interference of the state legislature in the business of local governments. It was claimed that it was an incentive to cut off money for local governments that banned project labor agreements. And that was completely portrayed the wrong way. What it actually was punitive. And it matches exactly what the fear is in California of what President Trump wants to do with cutting off federal money here for sanctuary cities. There's just, I laugh when I hear the complaints about it, and I say, you know what, there's no consistency here. People like federalism when it, hurts certain groups, and then they, turn around, and for other favored groups, they make sure that the central government, slaps down local governments for what they're doing. So that's why this bill has been proposed for repeal. This language shouldn't be in here. The state needs to be consistent in saying a central government shouldn't be interfering in the affairs of a subsidiary government.
Thank you so much, sir. Very grateful for your testimony today. We'd like to be able to welcome anyone else in support of the bill. If you could please come forward to the microphone. Sir, you have 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thanks. My name is Dave Everett. I'm with I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Associated Builders and Contractors Southern California. And I just wanted to point out a couple things about PLAs, and we're definitely supporting SB 1049. PLAs are they end open and fair competition and bidding on public works projects. And they actually ban non-union apprentices from working on those projects. So as an organization that trains apprentices, non-union apprentices, that's concerning to us. Also, the less competition and the inefficient union rules, they raise the costs, as the senator mentioned. But the Department of Labor points out that only 18% of the construction workforce belongs to a union. So you're actually, 8 out of 10 construction workers you're banning from working on any of these projects. So local cities should have the right to make those decisions. It comes with a long list of other problems as well. A project that would get 25 to 30 bids with a PLA ends up typically getting 4 to 5 bids, so that, of course, increases the price as well. If you go to the link on this one right here, it takes you to buildmoreschools.com. There was a study of 500, and I know we're talking about all construction, but the stats actually work out very well. It's 500 California school projects. They did a study, and as the senator mentioned, it was 13 to 15% increase in cost. And so, you're losing those school buildings. If you're a city, you're losing that extra city hall or whatever that facility is. That means also that nearly all the merit shop companies would be discriminated against and effectively priced out of working on the project. And it's not because they won't pay union rates, because these are projects with state or federal or city funding. And so both union and non-union have to pay what they call prevailing wage, even though it doesn't necessarily prevail. Instead, the higher cost is because under a PLA, the non-union companies have to pay into the union healthcare and retirement fund. Then they also have to pay into their own healthcare and retirement fund. The problem is because it takes 5 years to be vested in a union plan, that the non-union workers aren't able to get that money or get those benefits that they're actually paying for. And so what this poster is trying to illustrate is on a 3-month job, they lose over $10,000. On folks that are working like on a high-speed rail or something where it's a consistent project through the whole year, they're losing over $41,000 for workers. These PLAs are so offensive that actually 24 states have banned them, as the other chart's trying to illustrate. And so it's no surprise that hundreds of am I running out of time?
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay, well, I just wanted to point out that a couple weeks ago we had hundreds of non-union workers flood the Capitol and try to make this exact same point. And they were basically just trying to show their opposition to the PLA. The other thing I thought would be interesting to you folks is that PLAs are often used, PLA proponents often use CEQA as a way to leverage to get PLAs, and that actually erodes legitimate environmental support when they're using them just to get labor agreements, and they go, oh, I have my labor agreement, there's no need for this environmental concern anymore. It makes the public look at that and go, was there really ever environmental concern, or is this just a shakedown? So for all of those reasons, we oppose PLAs and we support the Senator's Bill 1049.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for making the trek north today. We'd like to be able to open up for those who are in support of the bill, just to be able to state your first and last and your organization, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Richard Markison on behalf of the Western Electrical Contractors Association, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of California, the California chapters of the American Fire Sprinkler Association, and other merit shop contractor groups. Please restore the sovereignty of charter cities by approving SB 1049 today. We're in strong support.
Thank you so much. How you doing? Good
On
afternoon.
behalf of Associated Builders and Contractors of Northern California, in support, we do support the flexibility of the charter cities, and project labor agreements are very problematic for ABC members. Even though they can technically bid on the jobs, they are prevented from using their all but a handful of their own core workers, which makes doing the job much more problematic. And so we really support the intent and the flexibility behind this bill. Appreciate the author's efforts and urge your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Last call for those who may be in support. Last call. All right. If it works for folks, we'd like to be able to move to opposition, please. Welcome, sir. Welcome you. If you don't mind stating your first and last and your organization. Per our community preference, what typically happens is that we have one primary witness and two who would be opposed. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Lara, too. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. We are opposed to this legislation today. We were the sponsors of both SB 829 and 922. And I think that it's important to, first of all, let the committee know that there's a whole section above 2501, 2, and 3, Section 2500 of the Public Contract Code, that for public PLAs says public PLAs must include the following 5 things. An agreement should prohibit discrimination based on all the usual things, race and national origin and religion, and also membership in a labor organization in hiring or dispatching workers to the project. The second thing all public PLAs must include is an agreement that all qualified contractors and subcontractors will be able to bid and be awarded work on the project without regard to whether they are party to a collective bargaining agreement. The 3 other things, just to finish the thought, that every public PLA must have is an agreement, an agreed upon protocol concerning drug testing, an agreement that guarantees no strikes, no lockouts, no work stoppages, and the 5th thing is that any dispute that arises under the PLA will be resolved by a neutral arbitrator. So public PLAs are exactly the opposite of what the folks that came before me say. They have to have all these things to prohibit discrimination against non-union contractors, non-union workers. And, you know, the issue that's germane to this committee is that the legislature decided when they passed 829, 922, that they believed in project labor agreements. They believe the data. They believe the dozens of third-party university studies that show PLAs save money, provide for more on-time project delivery, et cetera, et cetera. And they decided, the legislature decided, to withhold state funds from cities and counties that decided to not even to pass ordinances or to do initiatives that did not even allow the local board to consider a project labor agreement. That's all that these bills did. That's all the public contract code sections do. It's important to remember that PLAs have been around for a long time. These aren't new things. Dozens and dozens of private companies have used PLAs in the private sector: Walmart, GM, Toyota, Honda. Pick in a basketball arena, pick a baseball stadium, probably done by a PLA. These aren't exotic new things. For those reasons and many others that I won't go into now unless I have questions, we are opposed to this bill. State taxpayer dollars, you control state taxpayer dollars. If you want to decide where those dollars go to cities and counties, you can do that. So we're opposed today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We now would like to be able to welcome anyone else who would like to be able to speak in support of the bill. If you could please advance at this time. Anyone else in support of the bill, or excuse me, opposed? My goodness, get Mr. Morlock some additional support. I apologize. Anyone else who is in opposition? All right, let's bring it back to the committee for any discussion. Hearing no discussion, would welcome a motion, and you're more than welcome to be able to bring forward a motion on your own bill as well, Mr. Morlock.
I'm happy to move the bill.
All right. We have, there we go. We have, there we go. Before we go to closing comments with Mr. Morlock, I just wanted to take a moment. Mr. Morlock and I were able to sit down last week and have a conversation. And what I always appreciate about the good senator is always willing to be able to have a discussion whether we agree or not. Grateful for his friendship and partnership and the ability to be able to work with you. I know we don't see eye to eye on this exact issue, but what I want to say is how much I appreciate your willingness to be able to have the discussion early, and know that you work hard for those that you work for. Mr. Morlock, I know you know I'll be opposed today, but I'd like to offer you an ability to have closing remarks, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, it is a wonderful working relationship, and I really appreciate it. I think one of the individuals that support the bill said, let's support the sovereignty of charter cities. And that's what we're talking about today, Mr. Chair. If a PLA is a great option, then allow managers to manage and let them make that decision and let them look at the alternatives. I think withholding cash is inappropriate, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you so much. We do have a motion by Senator Morlock. This is a due pass to appropriations. Ms. Lanchester, roll call vote, please.
McGuire?
No.
McGuire, no. Wynn? Bell? No. Bell, no. Hernandez? Hertzberg? Laura? No. Laura, no. Morlock?
Aye.
Morlock, aye. 1-3.
We currently have a 1-3. We're going to keep the roll open and allow members to be able to add on. Thank you so much, Mr. Morlock.